All right. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And I'm just checking to be sure that the certification of open meeting law requirements have been met.
They were.
Wonderful. Can we get a roll call of the committee members?
Nutter is here, but barely, so I probably won't talk much because if I talk, I start coughing uncontrollably. So,
Darn. Oh,
Wayland's here.
Lion here. Adam's here. Gene Galasinski, I think, is on.
I guess I can't see it.
Gene Galasinski, are you on?
that looks like her
This is
phone
Jean.
number.
This is Jean. I'm on the phone.
Perfect. All right. And Lori Severson is here. Did I get them all, Dave?
It would appear so.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. And then we need an adoption of the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda.
I second Lion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, so we've got that approved. Then we go to the approval of the 10-1 regular meeting minutes.
I move to approve.
All second.
Wonderful. All approve? Any against?
Aye.
All right. And then we'll tell the public comment number, which is 715-538-1894. 715-538-1894. And do we have anybody for public comment that is present? Nope. Okay, then we'll just go right ahead and wait for any call-ins that there might be. And the next item on our agenda is Jean with Wisconsin Great River Road.
Good morning, everybody. I tried to log on the Zoom link and it wouldn't let me, so I don't know. It's pouring here, so maybe we can work on that. I'll call in later. Wisconsin Great River Road, quick report. We continue to work on our 2025 visitor guide. And the other thing is, and Dave is aware of this, on Wednesday, November 13th, we're having a meeting at the Village Hall with the DOT, the Village of Trempealeau, the Chamber, surrounding communities, businesses, organizations in regards to the possibility of the bottoms, as we call it, the three bridges coming through the Holman into the Trempealeau County lines. So hopefully we'll get that straightened around and make some sort of a compromise. And that's it.
Wonderful.
To just
Economic development and oops, go ahead. Sorry.
There you go. No, that's fine. Go ahead, Lori.
Okay, I was just going to say, great. The economic development and tourism report for Dave.
Yeah, so just to piggyback on what Jean was just mentioning about that Highway 35 bridge replacement project, that's over the Black River and Tank Creek. I think there's 3 structures that DOT is proposing to replace. Originally it was going to be done next year, and now it's slid out to 26, possibly 27. And they've gone back and forth, and I think they're kind of back to their original thinking on that, which is they want to just close down the road through traffic at the bridge sites for about 18 months while they replace the bridges. Now, I see buzz cringe, and that's been my thing. I've been in DOT in contact with them over the last year on this, and there is another model, and that's what they did with the bridge replacements over the Trempealeau River at the Trempealeau-Buffalo County line a couple of years ago, where they essentially built kind of like a temporary structure that carried single lane in each direction. And that is an option. They could do that. And for a little while, like late last year, earlier this year, I thought that's what they were settling on. But I talked to the project engineer, I think it was on Friday last week. And apparently when they were out doing some kind of drill work, soil boring or something like that, some car hit one of the trucks, and they've kind of decided that they think that there's not enough, I don't know, they think for safety reasons they can't work that down in that area. So, yeah, so the official detour route would be, if you're coming northbound, for instance, it's instead of taking 35, at Holman to Trempealeau, you would come up 93, 53, and then go up to Centerville and then come back into Galesville. And then obviously if you're going south, it would be the same, thing if you were through traffic. So the concern I expressed, wearing the economic development hat on that was, especially people that are just driving the River Road and don't have a destination in Trempealeau, there's a good chance they just pass it right by under that scenario. If people have a destination in Trempealeau, they're going to stay there or whatever, maybe not as bad. But really, it seems like the only two options are close it down for 17 to 18 months. So they'd start summer one year and go through like the end of the next year. Or they think that it would potentially take even longer if they did, kept it open under traffic. So there's not a good scenario. The good thing is there's a couple of years to plan for it. I did mention it and Gene knows this, I mentioned it to the Wisconsin Mississippi River Parkway Commission. Is that what it's called? And I think it looks like they're going to have the project engineer from DOT on the agenda in January, because it's not just a Trempealeau County issue. It's going to be a, Great River Road issue, because if you're building the Great River Road and you can't get someplace, that's going to be tough. But the bridges do need to be replaced, there's no question. So anyway, I just thought I would let you know that I've been hooked in on that, and, what I did put in front of DOT that I thought they really need to take a look at the economic impact of that detouring and pulling people out of the community. So they're at least aware of it. Hopefully the businesses in the community will make that known next week with that DOT meeting. From there, I'm just going to go into the other things I have, which is not much. They're big projects, but visitors guide, we're well underway with sales on that. They've been going pretty well. What I'm told always is that the last week or so before the deadline, the number of ads getting placed picks up. We've got several of the premium placements, like back cover, already taken, but Madison Media Partners, who's working with us on putting together the guide, they're making calls. I stopped at about 35 businesses personally to hand out information. So, it's first year, so it's a lot of legwork to get established. Copy is being worked on by different chambers and communities. I'm working on putting together some, still deciding what some pages are, but just based on some feedback we got last week in a strategic planning meeting, which I'm going to talk about in just a second here, I think we're going to have at least a page, maybe two, highlighting quote-unquote hidden gems in Trempealeau County. So we'll be working with sort of soliciting input on what people consider to be the hidden gems, maybe insider's perspective that we can share with that. We did hold a meeting last Wednesday with Pilch and Barnett, which is the creative or the professional communications firm we've hired to help with our joint effort marketing, or GEM grant, strategic destination marketing research project. What did we have? Probably almost 10, 12 people in person and another 7 or 8 that joined us on Zoom. So it was a fabulous turnout. It was a good guided discussion just on things that we've seen in other travels to different places that we thought were positives. And we have another meeting that really wasn't planned, but it kind of arose based on the discussion that we'll have in a couple weeks here, specifically to kind of talk about what do we think we want to be known for, and that's going to lead into how we present ourselves. There will be surveys coming of existing visitors and people who haven't visited, trying to get brand perceptions or feedback, that kind of thing. So it's a really exciting project that will probably go through June at this point. And I think we're going to learn an awful lot.
Hey, thank you, Dave.
Buzz has got a
And then
question
Jack,
I'm
can we-
answering.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
Lori.
sorry.
I didn't have my mic on.
No problem.
I was just wondering how heavy it's gonna weigh, so to speak, and then what's it gonna look like when it's web-based?
The surveys?
No, the actual travel guide.
Oh, the travel guide. Yeah, number of pages, not quite sure yet. It's going to be glossy paper throughout. It'll be a nice looking publication. They worked with Dodge County when Becky was there, or after Becky left, to put together a guide. So we've got some examples of their work, and it's just really good. And like I said, this is our first year. Next year, this process will be much easier because we'll have a lot of the editorial content already. We've got tons of photographs, although I am working with the communities because we've got some holes in terms of what we've got pictures of and don't have pictures on. Lori, I have a couple more things here real quick. Have been working on a couple of, excuse me, grants. So I know, Jeannie, you have talked about in the past us applying to be part of the university project. We did reach out. We have made contact. We've submitted some stuff. They like our proposed project, and we will be working on getting that application all pinned down according to what they want. What we settled on for the university project is sort of taking the outdoors rec plan that we've got right now, seeing how we can actualize that and make some of the goals that we've have or things that we see that we're missing in outdoor rec and get some plans on how we actually do that. And as an additional part of that, take a look at, are there some economic development opportunities connected with how we implement new outdoor recreation infrastructure or activities. So that's pretty exciting.
Hey, Dave,
Yeah,
thanks a lot for following through with that. My grandson participated in one of those projects when he was an landscape architect major at Madison. So it's a really wonderful program. So thanks for following up on that.
I think it's a great project too, but thank Becky, because she's the one who really kind of bird dogged that, if that's the expression. I think it is. I'm feeling old using that expression now. So that's the university. And then the final thing is Becky and I have been working pretty closely together on getting an application put together for a program called Community Development Initiative, or CDI. You love the acronyms, right? This is a program of Wisconsin Economic Development Corp. That provides what can be some pretty substantial money to do important projects in the community that will act as a catalyst or meet a specific need. And in this case, it's something we're looking at with the childcare. So
If I could, I'll just quick, I shared this with the Exec Finance Committee yesterday, so I'll bring further information on the 12th when we talk about all of that. Yep.
last thing I want to do is just, if I can share my screen here for a minute. Back to the meeting here so I can share. There we go. I think that's it. No, don't want to do that. All right, you guys can see my screen, right? I just got to move this thing so I can. All right, so I know it's a little bit hard to read, but what I did is I just pulled some stuff off of Facebook that kind of shows our top posts for the last 90 days. And what you can see is that we have got a lot of these Foodie Friday posts that have performed really well. To give you a perspective, we've got about just under 3,800 Facebook followers. So when you start seeing this post reach and really even more importantly, this engagement. The engagement number is, so the post-reach, I'll back up. Post-reach is, you know, how many people that post got to. So it could be every single one of our Facebook followers looked at it, and, you know, 2 of their friends looked at it. I mean, we're getting some, you know, multipliers that are pretty significant there in terms of reach. The engagement is how many people actually liked something, clicked on a picture, that kind of thing. So we've really kind of stumbled on something with that I think has been really popular. Oops, I'm gonna have to advance that manually. That's just,
I was just gonna ask, do you get to eat a lot of fun things, or do they?
I have, and just so everybody knows, there's not a budget line for that.
Yeah,
Dave's got to eat anyway, so it works out fine.
well, thanks for doing it,
Yeah,
because it is fun.
3,775 followers is what we're up to. That was an increase of about 70 over the last month. Give you a perspective, coming into the year in January, we were at about 3,011 followers. So we're up almost 30% this year. And I think that's fantastic. I think we have an outside shot at hitting 4,000 followers before the end of the year. We might have to come up with some creative ways to try to make that push for 4,000. And then, let me see. This is just some demographic stuff, because everybody wants to look at demographics and statistics, right? Like behind all the polling we've been hearing about. 69.6% women, 30.4% men. For a long time, Galesville and Trempealeau were like far and away like the biggest followers, and they still are. But we've really seen a lot of growth in the numbers. And if you look down on Alaska, La Crosse, Holman, that's almost 600 followers now. And Winona, this is just brand new since the last time I looked at this. Winona wasn't even breaking whatever this is, top 10, and it is now, you know, with just under 100 followers. So that's fantastic. This was part of a little campaign, if you will, that we did leading up to the election. We wanted to have a little bit of fun. And so there was a, you know, sort of what's the best, fill in the blank. This was best burger, and this was a post that got, you know, a pretty substantial reach. And if you look in the lower right there, interactions, 107 people actually took the time, you know, to post into the comments what the best burger was. Now, the interesting thing too, if you look at the reach there, among followers of our page, there was 1,830 people that weighed in on that, but there were 3,000 non-followers of our page that somehow that managed to reach. And we haven't done any paid boost of any of these things. This is all what they call organic or natural. So we've really been finding some things that have some traction here, and we'll continue working on that. But I just thought that might be interesting to the committee. And that's, as they say, all I've got, unless there's any questions.
No questions?
I just have a
Then we'll go ahead and get Jack's part
Yeah, it's
report.
like, there was a comment here, I guess.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to comment, I think it's a lot of fun to watch on Facebook. It's a positive, and it's catching. It catches, the way you present it, it catches the attention of the reader.
Awesome. Are we ready for Jack?
Yeah, Lori, I'm good to go.
Okay.
So I'll start with the park report. I'd like to thank Bob and Buzz for talking out last committee meeting with the Majidak stuff, because it did lead to some good discussions with the company. And we reached a point where I was comfortable with going forward with the dock, and we got about a $6,000 price break by getting it this year. So we're set for an April installation. So it's going to be a big thing for the park, along with Colonel Larson, getting an easy dock that's 2 ports of accessibility on the Trempealeau River, which is a huge thing in my book. Winter activities, I had the idea of, and I think Bob had told me when I had stopped at the service station one day, why don't we try to get like a cross-country ski trail going at the park? And I thought that would be a great idea. We already have our clubs going out and grooming, so we could potentially do like a little loop in front of the overflow area. So wanted to try to see what potential there was for that. So I asked the guys for snowmobile if they could do something, and they thought it was a good idea, so I think they're gonna try to get a groomer. I'll try to confirm next meeting if they can for sure do that, but that would happen December through February, and I'd come up with a map, and we'd have the opportunity to cross-country ski in the off-season. But there's gonna be some things that come along with that. The park is now open year-round, so there's gonna have to be a few ordinance changes. So I'll probably work with Corp Council for that, and then we'd also have to work with the Highway Department if we did have a snow event to see if we can keep that entrance open for people to access our trails and the cross-country ski loop.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah,
I had a conversation a couple weeks ago with, when I was at a town board meeting with Harlan Reinders, who was the former chief deputy. He just recently purchased some equipment to do cross-country ski trail grooming. So
Oh,
that
cool.
might be somebody you might want to talk to,
Yeah,
you know, about
absolutely.
helping us
Because
with
yeah,
the park.
the snowmobile thing, we'd have to pay for their time potentially to groom that. So if we did have another option, or if we could possibly do it ourselves, if I went out there, and I think I'd enjoy just making a little loop with the groomer. Totally fine with doing that if we had our own equipment too. So there's a few ways to go about it. I like that, Jeannie.
Okay.
How long would that
yeah.
trail be? What are you thinking?
Probably like a quarter to a half mile, just a loop,
just
or
a
maybe
loop.
you could figure eight it or something like that.
Would it be for skaters and striders?
I don't know enough about cross-country ski for that
I
terminology.
see you're gonna be talking to Josh Peterson up in Eau Claire.
Yeah.
They have, Tower Ridge, which is a real extensive. You might get some insights from him, just
Yeah,
seeing.
yeah.
what
I'm
Josh-
excited to go there on the 11th because been talking to Becky about going to maybe Dodge County, and I was gonna maybe stop at Jefferson, do a trip of kind of how they're doing things down there, but things didn't work out, so I ended up planning the Eau Claire County thing. It works out with me being up north too, so on the 11th, I'll probably work remote that day, and then the afternoon I'll spend with Eau Claire County, which I'm excited about to see how they I'm also gonna attend a committee meeting. So excited to see how they kind of do things. Might get some ideas.
Just so everyone knows, the park was open last winter. That was, of course, there was no snow, so, but we had the highway department last year plowing the snow for us, such that there was.
A little bit there was.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Well, good to know. I guess the next couple things is like budget and CIP. Been going over that and getting a good perspective on what a park and rec budget for our county might look like. So just wanted to give a brief update to you guys on that. And then how I'm thinking about going about programming. We're not really set up for it. We kind of deem that for this year and maybe next year. But I'd still like to make it a priority. So like attacking it very slowly is probably a good approach. This last year we did the music series. This next year we might be able to do, a ski loop. So kind of thinking about going at things slowly and what are our main goals and what is attainable. So then I do have like that idea of youth archery that I brought up earlier in the year, which I think would be cool if we could work with our sportsmen's clubs around the county. So I'd like to still pursue that, and then after we do our Petrick Park enhancements, I'd like to go forward with like a disc golf course, after I see what the park ends up looking like in 2027. Got a guy in mind who did the Leinenkugel's disc golf course in Chippewa, so he's already kind of seen that, and I let him know that I want to see the park enhancements first, and then we can go about disc golf maybe.
Jack, on the youth archery, I assume you're aware, a lot of the school districts have those teams. And it'd be kind of cool, maybe if you had a Trempealeau County event at the park.
Yeah,
or something
absolutely.
through the school teams, I mean.
If we had some clubs bring out some 3D targets,
Yeah, all the schools got them, so.
the schools too, yeah.
They mostly shoot, I think, they shoot the Matthews bow, open sight.
the missions.
Mission bows, and, it's kind of a big deal. I know it is in Osceola. Hell,
Yeah,
they've been
yeah,
to
Augusta's
national-
got a club,
I don't know about the southern part of the county, but our school district is pretty active in it. Really gives those kids who aren't in other sports an opportunity to compete in something different, so.
absolutely, it's a very good niche program, that anyone can do, and it's a skill that you got for life, so. I think it's a good thing to keep looking into, and when the opportunity is right and the conversations are formed, I think we look at about how we offer that too is another step to think about, so. So that's all I got for the park report. Is there any questions?
All right, Jack, you want to go right into the next campsite pricing discussion?
Sure. So I had a couple good meetings with CampSpot this last month, and they released a new analytics tool that'll be good, really good going forward. So I'm just got access to it. I think yesterday they sent me the link. So once I feel comfortable and going forward with that information, and Lori, maybe we can talk about that. I didn't know if you'd seen that.
Yes, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, so that would be something I would like to, look at that park overview, ADR, average daily rate, and current and future trends. I kind of year-over-year metrics, we do have 23 and 24, so that'll be good information for me to be able to share my screen, and we can look and talk that over, which is kind of what I've been hearing in past meetings. You guys just want to see information visually. So that's great that they have that analytics tab now. I did want to go.
It is, and Jack, I should
Lori.
learn a little bit more about that. Jack. They're actually at the conference that I'm at.
Yep.
So they have a presentation that they're doing this afternoon. So I'll try to gather up as much as I can.
Very good, very good. And feel free to reach out when you want to maybe talk about it a little bit, Lori. I'm excited about it because it's like putting all that information, making it visually appealing, and it condenses it down for everyone can understand it. So I like that.
Yep, it's pretty valuable.
All
All right, anything else on the campus?
Yeah, so I did want to talk about just maybe a year-over-year daily pricing plan and an Ashley plan. I had first thought the idea of with all of the improvements with septic and water lines and the park, like we're gonna need to increase our rates. So I had thought the idea of $5 a year over the next, you can see our prices this year, over the next 5 years, and then Ashley, $15. And then we had me, Becky, and Dave meet prior to each meeting, and Dave had suggested a percentage increase for the 10 sites. So there might be some slight adjustments in here, but I wanted to at least, talk over this meeting, what the pricing plan should look like for both. And my thought was 5 and 15, and maybe have a slight adjustment that I work on, and then we'll have our prices for the December meeting. So I guess I would like some input on if you guys think this is an okay plan, and then maybe look into our percentages for the tent sites, and then maybe just opinions on if it's too much or if it's not enough, or that sort of thing. So I have 3 nights and 7 nights. And then maybe David also suggested at our PTED prep meeting that we have those week rates, we advertise those first, and try to get those filled to, incentivize people.
Well, I'm wondering what the going rate is in other areas. I don't know if there's any.
The 7-day thing is appealing too, because like those days prior, it's really not a big deal for us to, have people out there 4 days. There's really not much going on. It's kind of the dog days of summer, so I think it's a good idea to, promote that week thing. Really try to incentivize that, and then announce a plan for our 3 days. So.
Yeah, that would be different, Jack. I think there's, none of the private parks do that as far as, offer a week or that type of thing.
It helps to build looking at it from the marketing standpoint, it helps to build some excitement too, by giving people if you call a pre-sale opportunity, if they're willing to take a whole week. And the other part of that is a marketing opportunity, is we can tell people, hey, we know you maybe are coming in for Ashley for the arts, but, tack on that extra 4 days with this weekly thing and check out all the other things we have around the area. So I think that's going to really help. And if you look at, and some people are going to want to make sure they get their favorite spot. So they're going to buy that week. They maybe aren't going to come the extra 3 days, but if they don't, we still have the money. And I think that's really good.
You're gonna be pitching like on the same page, like biking and canoeing and what other things, give them something else to do, or I don't know, trout fishing or whatever.
Yeah.
Check us out, come.
Yep.
Okay.
It sounds good, Jack. I think, and Jack, do we have do you have that where you can pick your spot and you charge extra for that? Like I want site 12 and then I pay $20 extra for that.
I don't believe so, Lori. Do you know where you enable that at? In CampSpot?
Yeah, I do. So we can definitely talk about that. That's something that we do that's quite popular, especially if, they've got a couple that wants to stay together,
yeah,
or
site
a
lock.
family, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. We do have the site lock. It was for some reason enabled. Jessica told me it was enabled last meeting for some reason, and now I got it back up, because that's just,
Good.
free
Yeah,
revenue.
it's a good,
You
you betcha. Good job. Okay. Great. Any other thoughts on the campsite pricing? I think when you bring it back, Jack, that'll be great. If you want some numbers from what other campgrounds are doing in Wisconsin, I can certainly provide that for you.
Sure. Yeah. The more information, the better.
Campgrounds are doing too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You just got to take into account what we're trying to do with the park too, and how much it's going to cost to do everything. So increase the prices are definitely needed as to what we should, talk about and discuss.
Yeah, you should have plenty of room in there, Jack, I would think, because, everybody's way above you. So I
Right.
think you're fine on that part.
Good deal.
Yeah. How about park priorities, Jack, if we don't have anything else on campsite
Sure.
pricing?
So park priorities, The Palmers, with High Cliff Consulting, were out at the park this last month, starting their field work and soil testing. So we should have that septic proposal pretty soon. Think Becky in the budget meeting had mentioned like 30,000. Their proposal was 4750, and then we're gonna like have to think. It's not just septic; it's also the addition of water lines. So the all-encompassing might reach that $30,000 mark, but I think we're gonna be slightly under, personally.
The total project cost gonna be about 50 grand then?
For water lines and septic,
Yeah,
I'd say it's gonna be under that, but
I thought you just said
Who knows?
47.
I thought you just said 47.
no, 47, like 4,750.
Oh.
That was their
wow.
proposal.
I was thinking thousands,
That
not
was their
hundreds.
proposal. I'm sorry. I should
That's
start.
a good
I should
surprise,
start
yeah.
saying thousands. I'm so used
So
to
we're
just
gonna
saying 40,
be
like
under
the
40
numbers.
grand.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
So
because they were
4,000.
thinking not a full
Yeah.
redo of
Yeah,
the
they're
whole
thinking
thing.
like a time dosage, which would be great for our Ashley weekend. And Mark Carlson, down with land management, he thought that was a great idea too, to have a time dosage tank. So that's what they're thinking. They're looking at that, how we can do that time dosage there and where our drain fields are. So that's what the proposal is going to encompass. Yeah, and also maybe additional septic tank. So I guess that's another thing to factor into that $30,000 cost. So it might be more, might be less, but
So we'll be within the 30 most likely.
right, most likely.
And what's your time schedule for a replacement then?
I told them I'd like to try to get things done by the spring. We'll see when we get that proposal back from High Cliff, when everything can get
So
done.
who's the dirt mover then? Who actually does the work?
We'll have to put it out for bid, I think,
Oh,
an
it goes to-
RFP.
So you get a plan, goes out to bid? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, adding those water lines, septic, planning with SRF about the Petrick Park enhancement. We'll go over that in a little bit. And then there is like a shank deed adjustment that we're working through. That's real slight, just the wording with Tom. He's got the verbiage beginning development in that warranty of deed. So Susan and I talk Corp Council, and we want him to define what he thinks are, I asked him to give me his top 3 things of what he thinks beginning development is. So haven't heard back from him on that. Maybe I'll follow up sometime in a couple weeks here. And then outdoor recreation opportunities at Petrick Park, and then currently planning for the Trempealeau River Water Trail. So there's a few different things, working with other municipalities. I want to, send out what our maintenance plan is gonna be for our dock, with the new docks going in and maybe a water trail being looked at a little bit more. So, just safety on how you should be maintaining your port site. So, I had Haley, with land management look it over, what my maintenance plan was, and she gave me a couple good suggestions. So I, did some edits and might send that out when the timing's right. That's all I have for park priorities.
Okay. You want to go right into the outdoor rec?
Yeah. So we have been talking a lot about outdoor recreation lately and how it can help build economic development and park initiatives at Petrick Park and county-wide going forward. So I have been, kind of doing some background work into some of that stuff and kind of like the background work of forming the water trail, who we might be working with, what a signage plan and markers, that sort of thing. Worked with Kevin in May to get some drone footage. So that type of stuff. and we did kind of deem this water trail to be where we want to, focus our attention for outdoor recreation, as well as maybe some hiking opportunities. I did put this graph in here just to show some good items to look at. This is kind of what I'm looking at and what's attainable with outdoor recreation opportunities. This is just a Word doc. It was in their folders.
I can put it.
Yeah, if you don't mind. But yeah, me, Dave, and Becky have all kind of, been looking at this together. Land Records, has provided me some map work, and they actually just got me a list of names of people that are along the Trempealeau River and are in the designated route of those 6 ports from Colonel Larson to Schultz Park in Arcadia, Colonel Larson and Whitehall here. So they got me all the local landowners. And I had talked to Kevin Lean with Wisconsin DNR. He's with Waterway Permitting. Said it might be a good idea to, look or give these people a heads up because there might be more garbage down the river. And we should maybe, let people talk, voice their concerns at some type of platform. So talk to Becky about that, and we might be looking into doing like a January meeting, and then sending out a letter prior. So I put a letter together, probably want to refine it a little bit and then send it out with getting those names from Land Records.
You mentioned drone. Have you been able to take the drone all the way down the river and find any blockage points? Because
Yeah.
that's probably a bigger safety issue, to get rid of the sweepers.
Yeah.
And you
There
have
was-
to have the permission of the landowner before you take a chainsaw to
Right.
those trees. And so I would,
There was hookups mostly in between Whitehall, Colonel Larson to Four Seasons. That was the most troubled
Four
area
Seasons? Is that
in May.
independent?
But the Trempealeau River changes seasonally, so there's different hookups all the
yeah, I
time.
mean, if we're gonna put people out there, we gotta be able to put them out safely, so. And it's,
There is maybe we advise people that it does change quite often, and we have to figure out that, Buzz.
Yeah.
I agree
probably
with you.
signage, pack it in, pack it out, that's pretty standard
Right.
stuff. At each landing though.
Yes, for sure.
So people get used to bring a bag with you.
And there's signage is gonna be something we have to think about and how we do that efficiently. And also we want it to look good.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Because it's gonna be a new initiative that we're, taking some time looking into in multiple different departments and areas, so.
You had any interest in any concessions yet for shuttling people?
Yeah. Daryl Perzilla's son, he told me he was interested in looking into it with Elk Rod and Gun, one of those guys. So that was big. I told him it's huge, and let me know if there's any things he wants to talk to me about, because there might be some insurance and liability stuff that he might have to look into if he's doing either a van or a shuttle or a little bus. But that's one person. We might be able to strike some more up in the southern stuff, and Dave and I can collaborate on that.
The one observation that I'll make about the water trail is, I think, once developed, it's going to be a wonderful thing to market. I think the thing that we need to be cautious about, and we've talked about this, is just to make sure that we're not over-promising and under-delivering with, promoting a water trail. So getting these questions like, you're asking, Buzz, about the blockages and is there the support services there? Those are all really important. And, I do think that, sort of as we, sort of discover the trail, develop the trail, there's also kind of an interesting potential marketing opportunity that goes with that too. And I've kind of shared this idea with Becky and Jack and about having enlisting the support of, people that kayak and canoe to get out there and sort of be the explorers to help us with some of that stuff. I've got this vision in my mind of putting together like a nice sweatshirt, Trempealeau River Voyagers, people that are exploring. But, we just have, we're not going to immediately be the Kickapoo River and all of the stuff that goes with that. In time, we could, but I think we have to, and what we were talking about with the transport, that's an economic development thing. That's something we can, sort of help solicit interest in that if we share our plans with people.
Well, it's a one-way trip, that's because the rivers are, and you
Right.
gotta make it as easy as possible for people to enjoy it. And
Yep.
I did live in the Trempealeau, the Kickapoo River area where they had that beautiful. It would be nice to get there at some time because I did live in the area for a while, but I know it's going to take time. But that would be definitely a dream because they probably had that going on many, many years back. So I think they're ahead of the time. So I know that's in time.
One thing that we've worked with a lot, we did between Petrick and Arcadia, we do canoe cleanup, and we try to do that in the spring. There was usually 2 blockages before you got to 3 Mile Bridge, 93. From Petrick, there was places that would always block that we'd clear. But then, every time we went down, it was 2 or 3 canoes full of junk too. So as you're talking over-promising or under-promising, there's a lot of stuff in that river. Just so you guys know, as far as past practice, we had a lot of trouble with being able to hold the capacity for how much junk's in there. Because when we started pulling, it got to be, you had to decide what you could get and what you couldn't.
Was it big stuff, Kevin, or?
A lot of it was just the stuff that accumulated from, and some of it was pretty intense right past the park, where there'd be a lot more trash that originated from the park that got tossed in, and then there was a lot right by the river. And then when you got below 3 Mile Bridge, there was a lot again. So it has an impact with how many people are using it, is where we were having a lot of that. And it took a while to clean it and empty out. And garbage bags, I think the most we ever had was 7. 7 full garbage bags of junk. And clearing, we never had any place that we needed a chainsaw. We usually picked everything up. It worked out good. That was the one good thing that I'll tell you. From Petrick, that's from Petrick to the Hanson canoe where the grocery store used to be, right between the bridges in Arcadia.
I'm really curious about what the river looks like between Arcadia and down towards Dodge and Trempealeau, because last Thursday I drove down to Dodge to do Foodie Friday at Stockyard, and I'm not telling anybody here it's anything new, but that's just beautiful country down there with the hills and stuff, and I would imagine that the river in that section goes through where you've got, some pretty high hills on both sides, and that would be a very popular part of the river too, so.
A canoe, I'll go with you, Dave, if you want to go through. There we go. But we had to pick up garbage along the way. There's no sense just doing one thing.
So then transitioning, there is an outdoor recreation plan. We have looked at that, and what we're currently doing, it doesn't align, so it either is gonna need to be amended, or with the university, we might be looking to, do a new one. So we did want to, voice that to the committee, see what your thoughts are. I know Becky had something
Where
that
doesn't
you wanted
it
to say too.
align? That's important to know.
I think I went back through it again over the weekend because I had marked it up a lot. And I think it's actually, I think it's got some really good things in the back section of it that lays it all out in making suggestions. I think with university, what that'll help us do is identify what do we want to focus on and then start putting an action plan into the things that we want to focus on. So there's multiple things that are listed in there, and so we've got to have some direction on what is it that we want to go after and do.
Yeah, I
And
think
so-
there's going to be an ownership issue with the change in this committee from when it was developed and staffing, and so it's probably, and how many years old is it, Becky? What's the date on it?
Oh, I can't remember.
So the outdoor recreation plan, the update was finished late in 2021, early 2022, because I started March 22,
Yeah.
and it had just been done then.
I thought it would be
And it was-
helpful.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's a 22, 26 plan, so it's due to be probably next year, start on revising it anyway.
So you keep talking university, what department, what university, and what are they going to do for
Well,
us?
so Mississippi River Regional Planning Commission was the one we worked with, and this is pre-me, but I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were
ended up
part
on
of
my
that.
chin,
They were the
so-
ones who helped us put that together. So university, I think my idea with talking with Becky was to take a look at that plan and not rewrite that plan, because I don't know that would be their bailiwick anyways, but take the stuff that's in that plan that we do want to develop and help us come up with some ideas on how to jumpstart that or how to do it.
Who's the university?
It's university.
University, CITY. It's a program of UW, and it's where they work with communities on solving,
But who are they? What department are they in?
it
Is it
it
community
crosses.
development, or is it multidisciplinary?
Yeah, it's not a part of, I don't think it's part of UW Extension,
No.
but Buzz, who we get in terms of students and faculty support on it, it kind of varies depending on what the project is. So it could be, students and stuff from more than one department. It could be recreational focus, it could be communications and marketing focus, depending on, exactly how we structure it and how it develops.
It's through so the university, CITY, is through the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And then they work with UW campuses across the state
Okay.
and work with counties or cities to put planning together. And they use students from the universities then that are in, engineering or planning or.
Lake Altoona, Eau Claire County just did one, and I
Yep.
was wondering.
Yep,
that's
there's
why
a
I
lot
was
of.
Getting a little more specific, because.
So, and we're working with the managing director, his name is Gavin Luter, and he's it's called University Alliance, and that's the group out of
They got a
University of Wisconsin.
website or something we could?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could
Why don't we get
send,
that into
want
the
to send that
meeting
on
notes?
to you
Yeah.
and everybody, yeah.
Buzz, all you have to do is Google University TY and you get all of their information. They have a really diverse board of directors from all areas. So it's a really excellent program. And it's really supported by
Well, that's another example of the
my dogs are
Wisconsin idea.
barking. It's really supported strongly by Wisconsin Counties Association.
Lori, I think we skipped SRF.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good. So I'll jump to
You wanna
that.
jump into that?
So I had a meeting on October 11th with a company called Copen. You can check out it's KOMPAN. They do unique, like customized playground projects. They're kind of all over the world, basically. And there is one piece of equipment that could potentially, be the center of our enhancement project. So that was what the meeting was about on October 11th. And Phil is kind of working on getting an update from the scoping guy because they are pretty busy because they do customized playground work. So he's been in charge, or Phil with SRF has been in charge of, kind of getting a meeting set with a bunch of landscape architects with Copen. They have like a team of eight ladies, I think, that are their landscape architects, and they do a lot of different work. So I'm excited if we get that meeting. get that meeting set, because it'll be like a turning point in the project. So that's kind of where we're at right now, with that first invoice, of 345491. That's with SRF Consulting. It was previously 13,000 and some change, for the bridge, the river bridge, and the rec pond work. So I asked Phil to give me an update, on just what this first invoice is encompassing. I can read that quote from him. The current changes are for schematic design of an enlarged playground area, including determining the thematic approach to the playground, establishing precedent images, preparing a schematic design, and virtual meetings relative to the design. We have investigated the types of material for some of the site-built play items and some of the background information relative to the play features. This initial phase has taken us to the discussion of having Copen designers involved. We are holding on our work until we can get some input from the designers to help determine the approach and the scale of that involvement. I understand the importance of moving this design forward, and I will keep in touch with Copen. We are focusing on a December meeting. So hopefully SRS will have some type of design work to us for our December PTED meeting. And I think
What's the
Phil might attend.
sideboards on that? I mean, we had talked about various options there, and,
What was that, Buzz?
well, what's the sideboards? I mean, these playgrounds are incredibly expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, are we still going with more of that natural design
Yeah.
type thing we had talked about?
It's going to be like a natural play area and an educational trail loop, built for, multiple age groups. And then I'd like to, collaborate with the schools somehow, whether that's their tech ed or their art departments, with some cost saving stuff. I'm also doing like a cost savings document for the December meeting for the park project, and like to present that too, so.
Is this gonna have components that are kind of accessible for all type at design in it?
Yeah. That's the idea, an accessible trail, sensory items in there, for people with disabilities. And then also like trying to, like the main part of the park is we want to keep people there for longer. So like that power of 10, trying to find what those 10 amenities are, to keep people around Petrick Park, for, maybe 4 days instead of just a night. Oh, I did a video with the TV station, about the history of Petrick Park, so I think that should come out next week or something.
No, check, I think Melissa Kono did one before the Petrick Park 50th anniversary and the history of Petrick Park.
Yeah, I saw that video. We covered some other things, basically the new initiatives that are going in, and we did switch to all online, which that does affect some people. So, I talked about that quite a bit on how you can pay on CampSpot.
Hey, anything else?
Just one question, where's the outdoor rec pond on the website these days? Is that pretty easily findable and accessible? I think all the committee members, it's probably worth a read as we're gonna go down this path of updating.
I can't hear you very well, Buzz, but we all got copies of the outdoor rec plan, paper copies. I mean, it's a.
I couldn't tell you where mine's at.
So if you,
You worked
so
on it.
if you go to the
worked
county
hard on putting
website,
it together.
if you go to the county website, click under Parks, left side, Trempealeau County Outdoor Rec Plan,
It's right there.
2022,
That's- As long as it's
2026.
just easy, click, and you're good to go. I think that's important for folks to probably review that and kind of get up to speed.
Could I make a suggestion in saying, I think like now we're getting into this holiday season and we kind of know the progression of what these two guys are doing and the projects that they're working on. if we would do just a very, very brief 5 minutes for each of them next month, and then work the rest of the time and bringing that forward and saying, we can put a presentation together on that plan and kind of talk about that a little bit more. And so I'd like to start focusing on how that's going to lead our work, if that sounds okay to this group. Okay.
That's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
I can move on
Perfect.
to rodeo. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So we tabled that decision last month about 2025 events. And I did let Ricardo know that the committee was favoring that $1,000 number. And he was a little taken back at first, but seemed okay with it, like he'd still do it. So he said, yeah, we're making enough money where that's not going to be a problem. And basically, I didn't want to get too much into profit. We had talked about that, so I kept the questions pretty bland when it came to how much he made. And like Renee said last meeting, we're kind of in the business. I believe in, offering services to the community, and now we're offering a niche to the Hispanic community. So it's great, great thing for the park in that regard. So. Yep, that decision was tabled. So I guess there's parts of that I'd like to keep. That 2-month increment. We think that's appropriate time. 3 events in a summer/spring, and then I guess we'll leave the price negotiable for the committee. But there are some things that were kind of oversight. There was an oversight on the park ordinance. I had looked at that, I think, a little bit more than I had when I'd previously started. I had the chance to review it, and especially after that event, I'm like, oh boy, there's some stuff here. So, like 200 feet from a campsite was, yeah. So there was that, definitely, at the event, and it definitely needs to be addressed. So I had mentioned to him just renting some campsites, and he's fine with that too. So that's your addition. If the 1,000 number is comfortable, maybe I shouldn't put a price point out there, but we are having that addition of him maybe renting out some campsites prior to, help avoid maybe that right along the arena. I can deem what's 200 feet, just beacon, and then make him rent a certain amount of campsites for an event. So yeah, I'll leave it up to discussion, and I'd like, I guess, a decision to be motioned.
Well, there was an addition, he wanted to go to midnight or something too.
Yeah, and I told him it doesn't work for the park. So I'm gonna stick to that ordinance for sure, and, sticking to our ordinances. I don't think this event warrants us trying to adjust anything. We're offering the opportunity. You get it till 9:45. I think that's good for, if it was any more than that, campers would start to call, I think, more and be more upset.
Quite honestly, I mean, so Jack was gone the one weekend, so then I was there, and it's a great event. I love it. But when it gets later, it is music, right? And a lot of drinking. And so I think if you just continue to promote the longer, and I think it just continues to promote heavier drinking. And I think, they do use it the whole day, and it's a great event. But I don't see the problem with ending it at that time too. And I think primarily too because of the people that are at the park.
Well, it's not a cheap ticket, is it? That's what I thought, 50
Their
or 70.
pre-sale ticket is 50, and then a few days before the event, it goes to like 60 as like a regular ticket price, and at the day of the event, it was 70.
Yeah, so I thought so.
And it doesn't even include the beer.
Or food. So they got a couple of
And they
food
had
vendors,
600
food.
people.
Oh,
Three
600,
different,
okay.
3 different events, so 1,800 total within the 3 events.
If you had it, I think if you had it at a different location where you didn't have the campground, it might be, even 11 o'clock would make sense, but I think since you already had the complaints from the people that are there.
I agree. Because I think the time we have set right now is, even at the time we set right now is probably pushing our luck as it is. We don't want to push it further. We're getting
Jack, is your
complaints as it
quiet
is.
time? Yeah,
Yeah,
Jack, is your
quiet time
quiet
is
time
10 to
posted?
6, and the event is done at 9:45.
Yeah, that's early. It usually is 11
Okay.
for campgrounds. So if it's 10, it's 10,
Yeah, I think 10 is appropriate for Petrick. Being out there late a few times, it's like, once it hits that time, it is a more quiet, more natural feeling campground. So it's like, I think 10 is an appropriate time
Sure.
for the park.
And for rodeo, most rodeos don't go past 10. If all they need is a
Right,
spot
yeah.
to recreate, they can do that someplace else. If they need the horse
Exactly.
arena, great.
Yep. Go out, do it.
You don't want
your
to keep
own
those
thing.
horses up too late at night. They get cranky.
To me, that seems like a separate event. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm not a heavy drinker, but it seems like a separate event.
That's when the trouble happens, is after 10.
Yes, it
So,
is.
good call on timing.
Yeah, and I've seen them, walking out of there at 9:45. They're done at 9:45. Most of them are at that point where it's good to be done at 10, I think. Yeah, I think we need some type of decision. So how I had it structured, and depending on weather, 2 months increments. Do I have something in here? I think I had a motion of some sort. Oh, my recommendation is to have 3 events in 2025 in a 2-month increment starting in May or June, depending on weather. And then that price point, I just keep in mind that we might be renting some campsites out to him. And he'll have to pay for that.
I'm one,
May,
oh, okay.
July, September then?
May, July, September, or June, August, September, or October.
Do we have
And
any
we-
idea what our extra expenses might be? Electricity, cleaning, anything? I don't know what all be,
Well, yeah,
is
I guess
involved.
he's using the electricity out at the park, with all those lights and the music. They're definitely doing that. And then we did have like some fence damage, and I made him, sign it was either, take a security deposit of 1,000 or he would do it himself. So he agreed, to fix the fence, and do it before, November 15th, and he signed off on that. So that was good.
I guess what I'm getting at is the $1,000 covering our expense?
I'd say so, just depending on if there's damage, and that's why we have the deposit.
You need a motion then? Yeah, you want to read what's being proposed that could go into a motion?
Sure, yep. So I'll go over, my recommendation is to have 3 events in 2025 and a 2-month time increment starting in May or June, depending on weather. And then also, we'll need that price point defined. I think that's it, just the price point defined. And I guess just keep in mind that he might be renting out some campsites next year.
And the deposit is how much?
We had threw around the number, or the deposit is 1,000, and we had threw the number of 1,000 around last meeting and decided to table it.
And about how many campsites do you think he would be
Maybe
renting around that?
it was like around 11, so about $280. But depending on if we're doing any some price point changes, that number might change when we confirm our campsite numbers next meeting.
I'll throw a motion out then. It looks like it's got to have three components. There'd be limited to 3 events per year, beginning in May and June, with 2-month increments, $1,000 fee per event with $1,000 deposit, security deposit per event.
That's good.
$1,000 per event
Yes,
and $1,000 security deposit
per event.
per event.
Well, oh, you want per event? Okay.
think
We
that'd
did,
be
we did $1,000 deposit over the 3 this year. And we just held it, basically. Not like $1,000 every time. So maybe it's 3,000 then security deposit that we hold if you want it like that.
Given back after each event.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so too.
$1,000
That we
per
hold
year.
for the duration of.
Yeah, okay.
As long as they don't have any expenses to come out of it, you'd be fine with holding 1,000.
Yep.
Per year for that whole year, the 1,000 free security deposit for the whole.
Yep.
I'd second that motion.
Can I just point out something? In your previous discussions, you've talked about not allowing an event on a holiday weekend. So May, July, September, do you want to prohibit it from being Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day weekends? Just throwing it out there.
I think that's a good point of discussion. We can have discussion.
Yeah, I think that was brought up.
Yeah, that's a big thing for Bob too, I think.
I think
He's
it's,
not
People
here.
would remember to turn on their mics. It's hard to hear.
my apologies, Jeannie, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I do recall that discussion, and I think it's important to other campers to avoid, I'm assuming there's probably prime time for everybody.
So amended?
Yep, I move to amend the motion by adding the terms that not to occur over a holiday weekend. So that the motion would read that they can have the 3 events with the 2-month increments without having them occurring over a holiday weekend.
Or during Ashley for the Arts.
And declaring Ashley as ours inclusive as a holiday. We already include that in the Arcadia area, that's a holiday, just so you know.
That should be a county holiday.
Well, it's our #1 revenue maker, so I say it's the campground's holiday too.
Yeah. So the motion then will read, you want to go over it, Kevin, again?
So the motion
Four-parter.
would read that we'd include Jack's 2-month separation, that we would have it, as far as the amendment to be included would be to not occur over a holiday weekend and include Ashley for the Arts as such.
Got that?
Perfect. Do we have a second for that?
Kevin was
Could I just have some clarification? Buzz, did you withdraw your motion, and Kevin, did you submit a
No,
new
just-
one, or are we voting on your amendment?
It's the motion as amended.
Okay, so we're voting on the amended motion.
The only part we're voting on right now, Jeannie, is the amendment which I added, which was
Okay.
seconded. We can debate it, we
Okay.
vote on that first, and then we'll vote on the
Okay.
main motion, either as amended or not as amended.
Okay, 2
Okay,
votes.
I get it. I'm having trouble hearing, so, sorry.
Oh, do you need a second for that?
Oh.
I didn't think so.
Has been seconded.
Yeah.
And so all you'd have to do, Lori, is ask for discussion and call a vote.
Perfect. Is there any discussion? Then let's call a hearing none. Let's call a vote.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
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 Perfect. Any opposed? Great. There you go.
No,
No,
now we need
now
a-
the original motion.
Now the amended motion would be voted on, Lori. So with what
Okay.
Jack specified, in addition to my amendment, is what we're voting on.
Okay, perfect. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I think the motion carries.
I'll let Ricardo know.
Anything
and
else?
We're gonna have 3 safe rodeos
Perfect.
next year.
Awesome, good job. Jack, do you want to roll right into the snowmobile update?
Just brief for you, I started going to meetings. Just brief for you, I started going to meetings for snowmobile. Work with multiple people on a few different areas with snowmobile. But yeah, as a county coordinator, my responsibilities include coordinating communication among various stakeholders regarding mapping, info, and grant funding for bridges and trails. So that'll be kind of work I'm starting to do.
All right, wonderful. Any future agenda items?
Just the one that we talked about, that we'll start talking about planning. And I just want to quickly give a shout out to these two guys because they've been really great to work with. And, you know, Dave's taken on everything with the GEM, the visitor guide, the university, the WEDC grant, and really run with that. And I'm really excited about where we're moving forward in that. And Jack has been a rock star on putting all this stuff together and kind of getting us moving in a direction to, you know, just even taking on that rodeo and putting that all together. That was a big undertaking. So I just want to just give kudos to them, and they've really done a nice job. So I'm looking forward to 2025.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Becky.
And
I don't know if you
congratulations
guys
on
can
your
see this.
leadership.
I'm just gonna
Yeah,
put it
thank
up
you,
here to
guys.
refresh your memory what the outdoor plan looks like that we got. So dig through all your paperwork and you'll find it.
All right. The next meeting is December 3rd. And Jeannie, I may need to lean on you just a little bit. I have a national campground conference that I actually put on that falls in that date, but I'll do my best to be there, but I'll keep in contact with you if I can't make that work.
All right, I should be well by then.
All right. Sounds good. Anything else? Otherwise, I guess I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
It was made and seconded, Laura, just call the vote.
Oh, aye.
Perfect. Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed?
You are the glue.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. See you soon.
I gotta go.